All right, you two sons of thunder. Notice today, I've got a pan, right? This is the pan y'all eat on, right?
Of course.
I'm about to teach Torah today from this pan. Now, remember the other day when we were doing the fences with thorns? What was I doing while we were out there with you guys?
Teaching us?
I was teaching y'all. I was teaching y'all Torah straight while we were out there. When we were picking blackberries, what was I doing?
Teaching.
I was teaching y'all Torah. When we go to the track and we go work out, what am I doing?
Teaching us. Pushing us.
I'm pushing y'all. But even before the track, before we got out there, remember whenever I prayed and everything, I was teaching y'all? Always teaching. Why? Because remember I said the other day that everything that was made, John 1 says, everything was made through the Messiah, through Jesus. And there is nothing that was made apart from Him. Right? So what it's really saying is that in every single thing, whether it's the trees, whether it's outside, whether it's span, no matter what it is, we can always learn. So I want y'all to notice something. Like I said, this is something y'all eat on. Come sit right here. Come sit right here. You can stay there. Come sit right here at this white table right here. Who washed this last night? Was it you or you? Which one?
I think it's me.
It was you?
I don't know.
I want you to rub that pen and tell me if it's clean. Can you look at all the things? Can you scrape stuff off? Is it clean?
Yep.
It's not clean, right? Is this the first time when it comes to dishes that I've come after you? I've looked at your dishes that you've washed, and then I've said, "Hey, this isn't clean." Is this the first time or no?
No.
It's the second time, right? It's a very small thing. It's not clean, right? Well, here's the thing. Always be able to learn from everything, even that pan. Cleaning the pan is super small. But notice how after everything y'all are doing, I'm coming behind you and I'm checking these small things to see if they're done well. It's not the action that's important, it's how the action's done. Right? The Lord says, it says in 1 Corinthians 3, which is a quote from the book of Numbers, it says that all of our works that we do in this world, God is going to pass through a fire. And whatever makes it through that fire, if it's wood and stubble, it's just going to burn right through it. And you're not going to get a reward for those works. But all the works that go through that fire, that come out as gold, silver, that can endure that fire, you'll get a reward for that. If it's wood and stubble, you won't get a reward for it. You'll be saved, but you'll get no reward. So something like that, I'd pass it through the testing, through the fire, through my examination. I'd realize the work wasn't done with quality. So I'm not gonna. Y'all are saved, but you're not gonna get a reward for that work. And I wanna read something to you from Jesus Himself. Okay. Jesus says this. The one who is faithful, in Luke 16, starting in verse 10, the one who is faithful in very little, he will be faithful with much. And the one who is unfaithful with very little, he will be unfaithful with much. The Lord is going to come to us and He's going to start giving us little bits of things. Hey, I'm going to give you a little bit of money. I'm going to see what you're going to do with it. If you're willing to spend $20 on drugs, you're going to spend $200 on drugs. But if you're willing to tithe that 20, you're also going to tithe the 200. You're also going to do things right with it. With all things, this is what's going on. Then it says, therefore, if with the unrighteous mammon you are not faithful, how will the true things be appointed into your hand? If we can't be stewards of the small things in our life, washing the dishes, cleaning certain things up, just those small little things, how are we going to be faithful with things that God really, He's just testing us. He really wants to bring us the greater things. And if with somebody else's things you're not faithful, how will you ever be faithful with your own? Meaning, first you don't get your own things to be faithful with, and then you get to steward others. God first wants to give you other people's things and see, hey, you know what, I'm going to be faithful with this, and if I'm faithful with this, I'm going to give you your own. But notice, if you're faithful with the small things, you'll be faithful with little. One of the things that I want to bring up and talk about in Colossians 3:23, Paul says, "Do all things wholeheartedly, as to the Lord and not to man." Everything you do, you want to do it with excellence. Whether it's washing the dishes, whatever it is. And by the way, y'all are teenagers. This is not a lesson for teenagers. Even myself this morning, whenever I saw this, when I woke up and saw this, do you know that I'll be very honest with you. I went and washed multiple dishes. Do you know there was one dish that I actually left a mark on it? I'm 29. And I had to go back and the Lord corrected me. Just like I'm teaching y'all, the Lord came to me this morning and said, go back and look at that dish. Did you do that with excellence? It's for anybody. None of us are above these things. But notice, if you're faithful with small things. So even yesterday, right, as we're sitting in the conference room in y'all's bedroom, and I said, did you like the monkey bread? Remember that I got you? You're laughing, I'm serious.
I actually liked it.
I said, did you like the monkey bread? But the way you said I liked it, but the way you answered, it wasn't very confident. I was like, I don't believe you. And then I literally said, I do not believe you. Do you remember why I said, hey, you say you like it, but I do not believe you? Do you remember why I said I do not believe you? Why did I say I don't believe you?
Because I lied about the oatmeal.
Because you lied about the oatmeal. I made you oatmeal for breakfast earlier this week. You told me to my face, I really like this. I leave the room. Yeah, you're laughing. I leave the room, and your brother tells me you didn't even touch it. You were gagging trying to eat that thing.
I wasn't gagging.
You could not take another bite. You lied. Either way, you lied. The thing is, you're lying to me about the oatmeal. Remember how Jesus says with the small things? There's a saying now about that is, hey, if you're faithful with the small things, you'll be faithful with the big. If you're faithful with the oatmeal, you'll be faithful with the other things. If you couldn't even tell me the truth about oatmeal, how will you be able to tell me the truth when it comes to things like money or things like getting in trouble? Things way bigger. We're just talking oatmeal here. You live under my roof. You know I'm going to find out. Because what happens if I want to make you oatmeal later? You're gonna do the same. Eventually I'm going to find out. The only difference is later it's going to be worse when I find out than if I just made it one time and you wasted it versus another time. And so him with this, you with the oatmeal, it doesn't matter what it is. Everyone's guilty of these things in certain regards. Regardless, is that we have to be faithful with the small things. You got to be honest with the small things. You got to have integrity with the small things. I wouldn't have known if you didn't like that oatmeal if you didn't come and tell me. But honestly, I wouldn't have known about this either unless I checked it. These were both things that I turned my back on. And I'm entrusting it with y'all, right? So it's being faithful with these small things. Because here's the thing. Also last night, you said, no, I swear I really liked that monkey bread. And I said, you should never have to swear to me. You had to swear because you had to do what? You had to prove yourself. Because you knew that you saying I liked it wasn't good enough. Because you've done that before and I caught you in a lie. So now you're trying to go over and above and you're trying to swear. Right? So y'all just read Matthew 5 the other day. Jesus says in Matthew 5:37, he says, let your yes be yes and your no be no. And then what does he say? Anything more is of the evil one. Meaning a man should be known by his word. When you tell me yes, I don't need you to exaggerate how much yes. You told me yes? Awesome, he means yes. You tell me no? He means no. If I ask if something's done, yes, cool, it's done. I don't need any swears or anything like that. We only do that to prove ourselves because our word is not enough. And our word should always be enough. Right? So that's something that I want us to take away, is that it's with these small things. If we want to be given more, we've got to make sure that we do every single little thing with excellence before the Lord. Even whenever I'm not there, if I never look at it, excellence before the Lord in all things. It says in Psalm 139, which y'all are gonna study this chapter. It says in Psalm 139, David says, if I ascend to the heavens, you are there. If I make my bed in hell, you are there. If I wander to the other side of the sea, behold, you are there. The darkness is not dark to you, but the darkness is even like light to you, for the darkness shines as the day. What do you think that David's trying to say? If I make my bed, or if I ascend to the heavens, God, you are there. If I go to hell, you are there. If I go to the ends of the sea, you are there. The darkness is not dark to you, but it shines like the light. The light and the darkness are the same to you. What do you think he's trying to say?
Everywhere.
He's everywhere. And?
His authority.
He has authority?
Yeah.
What do you think?
I was gonna say that he's everywhere. And he's the light.
He is the light. But what it's saying too is that in darkness we have a hard time seeing. In the light we don't have a hard time seeing. In the darkness we do. Him, it says the darkness is not dark to you. In the secret places, the secret things that we think we're hiding, he sees it perfectly. He's everywhere. He's up there, he's down here, he's over there. He sees every detail. Everything you do in the hidden place that I don't see, that your parents don't see, he sees. Everything he sees. So what does this mean? In everything we do, we have to act with what? What's the word that I want you to take from this?
Excellence.
Excellence. But what is the word for whenever you're to do things in excellence, not only before people, but behind closed doors? Integrity. Integrity. It's the essence of the character that God wants to give us. If you take anything from Torah, let it be that word. Fooling me, that's not very hard. I say that quite a bit. I'm pretty gullible. Somebody gives me a good word about themselves and I tend to take it. Doesn't mean you're fooling him. And it's him that we need to fear about fooling. Or trying to fool. Everything's bare and naked before him. That's what it says in the Bible. It says everything is bare and naked. It's right before him, filleted open. There's nothing we can hide. Okay? So be faithful with little. Starting with this dish. Starting with this pan. Starting with the oatmeal. Be faithful with the pan. Be faithful with the oatmeal. If you're faithful with those two things, we can start to give you more. God can start to give you more. Alright? So what I want y'all to do, I want y'all to read Colossians 3, Psalm 139, Matthew 5, and Luke 16. Those four are going to be what you're going to read. And what I want you to do, from these passages, especially this passage and this passage you'll see, I want you to write me 1-page paper. It's not that much. A 1-page paper on what integrity is, according to the Bible. Alright? A 1-page paper on integrity. You do these things, doors are going to start opening up for you. You got any questions? You don't have to write the 1-page paper right now. But by tomorrow night, I want y'all to have it written in y'all spirals. Okay? And I'll read over it. Which means something. Don't wait till tomorrow night. Even if you're not writing the full thing right now, start taking notes, start reading those passages, and start making little notes. Okay, this is a major point. This is a major point. So then tomorrow you can just, boom, write that thing. What's up?
What does integrity mean?
Integrity?
Yeah, I don't even know what it means.
So what did I just teach?
Like truthfulness.
Truthfulness when?
Anyone, even if no one's watching.
That's what I said.
Okay.
True integrity is doing not only the small things and the big things, but it's not only doing them in public, it's doing them when nobody knows. You see, there's going to come a point where I'm going to have y'all do the dishes. And if somebody was to come up here that we're being hospitable to, we have a guest coming, right? And I say, hey, I want you to go up to the kitchen, do whatever you want, make whatever you want. The dishes are clean, everything. But I didn't check. But I know how well they take care of things. I'm not even worried. I don't even need to go check. When people start getting to that point with honesty and different things, that's a very, very good place to be. In fact, this is the relationship that I have with Todd and Maria, and it's the relationship I have with your parents. You know, there was a time with your parents, they had shared some very personal information with me. And I was with my dad, and I ended up sharing, you know, I trust my dad, right? My dad's not going to go tell all people what I tell him. I told my dad what your parents told me. And the Holy Spirit convicted me right there and said, you should not have told your dad. Even though it's my dad, it doesn't matter. I shouldn't tell my dad, and I shouldn't tell the random dude on the corner of the street, because it's not their business. It's your parents' business that they trusted me with. It don't matter who it is. So what did I do? I called your mom and dad together on the phone, and I said, hey, do you remember when you told me such and such? And your parents know my dad very well, but I said, do you remember when you told me such and such? They said, yeah. And I said, listen, I have to tell you that I told my father. And I said, and I'm sorry, I apologize, it was wrong. I should not have done that. And your parents on the phone, what they said was key. They said, Nick, honestly, it's totally okay. We trust your dad. And this is such a small thing, you didn't even have to tell us. And I said, no, I did. It doesn't matter if it's small or big. But they know even with the tiniest things that some other people may say, that don't even matter. It doesn't matter. He knows. And I fear the Lord. And I want to make sure that our relationship is so open and filled with integrity, you can trust me with anything. You know I can trust you with anything. Like when your dad stood up before all those people at Passover and said, listen, we have 80 people here today. Even if we had 400 people, I trust Nick with anything. That's the type of relationship that we need to have with each other. But it comes through that came through cultivating a relationship through the small things. Right? So this is what we'll do for today and tomorrow, all right? All right, guys.